Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday Wins and Fails, the show where we go over all of the wins and the fails in the last week in marketing and business. And the reason I'm wearing these glasses is that because normally Marketing Monday is what you might call a bit of a nerdy show. Generally, when we discuss gaming industry or business or stocks or advertisements, we're this end of this diagram, okay? We're the one being stuffed into the locker. But today, things are gonna be a little bit different. Today, we're swapping over to the jock. We're taking the glasses off and we're discussing sports. Because top story of today's Wins and Fail concerns SHOWTIME OHTANI and the largest contract in sports history. Extra, read all about it. He just signed a $700 million contract. This is the largest contract nominally ever signed and the largest yearly in North American sports history. So he is currently on top of the sports financial world. And I want to go into this. I want to first give you perspective. So the Miami Marlins are the least valuable franchise in the Major League Baseball. They are worth $1 billion. That means Shohei Ohtani, a single player, just got a contract that is worth 70% of one of his rival teams. And if you look at the largest sports contracts in history, he is now going to be dominating the list. But I wanted you to guess, like, who do you think the number 2 contract in baseball is? Mike Broke-ass Trout. Mike Broke-ass Trout is 64% smaller than Shohei Ohtani's contract. He got only paltry $426 million over 12 years. Yikes, bro. But who do you think is the number 1 largest contract in all sports outside of Shohei Ohtani? Some of you guessed it. It's Messi, the football god himself. When he was in Barcelona, had a near $700 million contract over only 4 years. So his yearly average was actually way higher than Shohei Ohtani. Both him and Ronaldo have absolutely insane contracts. But in terms of the largest, top line nominal number, Shohei Ohtani's is the biggest in history. And even by average per year would put him in the top 5. So incredible contract. And I want to go into this contract more because it's actually strikingly unique. And I want to explain sort of why he got it. So first of all, if he's making $70 million a year from his contract, he's already doing pretty well. But we have to know about him. He's also one of the most endorsed athletes in the world. He's got sponsorship deals with New Balance, with Fanatics, all of which has made him one of the most bankable athletes. He makes $50 million a year in endorsements. And if he keeps this up for the 10 years of his contract, he's looking at a $1 billion 10-year run. The reason the MLB value him so highly is not only because he's an excellent all-time player who can both pitch and hit, but because he brings in a massive, rabid Japanese audience to the point where the stadiums between 2 American teams set in America will sell all Japanese ads because of how many Japanese players watch this. Now, one thing that's interesting about his contract, though, that I don't think most people are talking about. You'd imagine a $700 million contract over 10 years. It would go like this. Year 1, $70 million. Year 2, $70 million. And so on until the 10 years have passed. But Shohei Ohtani is doing it a little bit differently. He has decided to defer $68 million a year in a very unusual arrangement. That means Shohei Ohtani is getting paid $2 million the first year, $2 million the second year, and $2 million in the 10th year. That means for his first 10 years, he's only making $20 million. But then the 11th year, they start paying him $68 million a year. So for the 11th year, after he's already retired from baseball, he's making $68 million per year for the next 10 years. So he doesn't receive the full value of his contract until 2043. Now, the main reasons they give are the following. Basically, it was Ohtani's idea, and he wanted to give the team he was on, the Dodgers, more freedom to spend. If they're only spending $2 million a year, they have a lower salary cap, they have a lower luxury tax, and they can build the ultimate all-star team around him so he can win more championships. Now, that being said, sports also has agents. And agents, they're thinking about how to maximize the revenue for their player. And there is, a unique advantage to Shohei Ohtani here, which is he has to spend this 10 years playing in California, which has notoriously high taxes. If for some reason, after 10 years of playing, he is done and wants to then either renounce his citizenship in America and go to Japan or move to Florida or Texas, then he could take in that $68 million every year with no income tax. Both both as a benefit to his team and as a benefit to his personal tax mission. This is a very uniquely structured deal. Now, that being said, I think he may have made a mistake because by 2043, I think we're all pretty sure the world's going to end. So he's going to miss out on a lot of years of good money. But what's extra impressive to me looking into this is that, you know, he is an amazing player, but he is currently just getting out of Tommy John surgery for like the second time, and he's not even going to be able to pitch until 2025. And that's like generous. I mean, there's no guarantee it won't flare up again or have consider problems. So what's crazy is that the reason they're giving him the absolute insane amounts of money is because he's just the most like nice, bankable star the MLB's had in fucking generations. He brings in so much revenue from viewers, they don't even really care if they win. On the flip side, I want to talk about a sports team that's not making as good investments with their money. And that is, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had a very unique story come out in the world of sports recently, which basically revolves around this guy, their financial advisor, Amit Patel. Well, it turns out Amit Patel, well, he was the only one allowed to approve charges to the team's credit card. So all of the credit card charges for the team would go through him and he would approve them. Well, it turns out that is a uniquely powerful position. And if nobody else is checking or looking, there's certain things you could do with this that would be pretty beneficial to yourself and not so good for the team. He did these things. Basically, he took the Jacksonville Jaguars virtual credit card and started racking up business expenses, like a $95,000 watch, a condo for $300,000, a Tesla, all of this Bitcoin, NFTs, state gambling, luxury condos, and then, you know, all of this is fraud, and we've heard of this in some form or another before. I mean, this guy's obviously uniquely insane, but then he did something that I thought I've never seen. This was like truly insane. He realized that he was spending so much of their money that eventually some shit was going to catch up with him. He took the money of the Jacksonville Jaguars and prepaid a high-priced criminal defense lawyer. The lawyer, though, you know, as powerful and high-priced as he is, it's pretty open and shut case. There's no real getting around it, but the lawyer basically has chalked it up to a severe gambling addiction. They also said most of the funds were spent trying to win the money back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if he had won it big, he would have repaid the funds. Anyway, the staggering amount was added up, and it turns out of their total $1.8 billion in revenue, he had spent 1.2% of the entire team's revenue on his own personal bullshit. And what's incredible is that he took him a pretty good amount of time to get caught. So it speaks badly on his character, sure, but it also speaks pretty badly on the Jacksonville Jaguars and what kind of system they have down there to let this fly for as long as it did without him getting caught. Companies, however, that are not doing poorly, who deserve a little bit of a win, is McDonald's. I heard they were being boycotted, but it apparently has not affected their stock price, which has a massive rebound since October and is nearing yearly highs, up 10% year to date and on a bit of a tear, as a lot of their rivals, Burger King included, have started to lag in the high inflation environment, which causes people to sort of rethink their spending on fast food. McDonald's has been the stalwart choice, and they're actually taking market share from their competitors. They're going to go for the jugular. They don't want to just win the burger wars. They want to win the coffee wars. So they've introduced Cosmix, which is, again, I think kind of an ugly logo and odd name, but the idea is Cosmix, which is a competitor to Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. Basically the first brand expansion separate store that McDonald's, I think, has done in their history, perhaps?
Finally unveiled after a McFlurry of mystery, complete with a supersized Rager in its parking lot.
Oh, sorry. This is a supersized Rager?
Wait times topping 4 hours.
I have been waiting in this line since 9:45 this morning, so it's about 1:17 right now.
That's insane. Waiting 4 hours in line for a McDonald's coffee.
How insane has this been?
Insane.
Good interview. Anyway, remains to be seen, but they are clearly taking no prisoners in their attempt to go to the top. I found their menu insane. The amount of stuff they had. There is a little bit of bite-sized food, but mostly it's drinks. They even had boba, which is pretty crazy. I can't imagine for McDonald's, which has the smoothie machine broken all the time, they are able to keep all of these different drinks running smoothly. But if they can, I guess more power to them. But on the other side, not every fast food and fast casual food place is going through such good times. I want to give a fail on the other side of the thing to Red Lobster. Red Lobster recently had a bit of an issue. See, Red Lobster has a yearly tradition for ultimate endless shrimp. So this year they said, fuck it, we're not gonna just do it only on one Monday of the year. We're gonna make it happen this year every day. Well, it turns out when people like this show up,
I absolutely love shrimp, so I'm gonna eat a lot of shrimp in this video. All right, you can't even see them all on camera here. You got orders 30 and 31. Gotta admit, that was pretty good.
when people like this show up, it's a bit of a financial problem. It turns out that getting unlimited all-you-can-eat shrimp for $22 starts to eat into their margins when you eat as much as this. And Americans went nuts for it. Again, Luke Foods did a review.
Now these are the new crispy dragon shrimp. This is so good. It's very crunchy and crispy, and it tastes like orange chicken. I give this a 9.
So if it's getting a 9 from Luke Foods, Americans are gonna flock there in droves. And they did. So Red Lobster ended up losing $11 million and having a negative quarterly profit, largely because of this all-you-can-eat shrimp deal. And I don't think they're going to be bringing it back in the same way for next year. Other businesses that are thriving financially, but for not so great reasons, the service Cameo. And I have 2 stories about Cameo that I want to discuss with you. First off, Russia has decided rather than use AI to try and make fakes of politicians and like that, all they're going to do is use Cameo. Because it looks more realistic and then get them to say whatever they want. So Russia has been taking prominent US celebrities, getting them to say different things across like 3 or 4 cameos, and then cutting them together to making it say exactly what they want them to say. For example, they wanted to discredit Vladimir Zelensky, president of the Ukraine. So they got all of these people to talk about their friend Vlad, who was going through, detox. And to get help from your drug addiction. Then they took those videos, edited them together, and then added Instagram overlays like they were actual stories. And then they put all this out on Russian social media to try and convince people that American celebrities all wanted Zelensky to go to rehab. The other hilarious Cameo story, which I guess I have to give a win, is for Representative George Santos, who was charged with conspiracy, wire fraud, false statements, falsification of records, identity theft, and credit card fraud, and was removed from the House of Representatives. But the second he got removed, rather than be, ashamed, he just jumped on Cameo and made more in 48 hours than he did his entire time in Congress. He basically just started dropping cameos left and right for $500 a pop.
I knew you were trouble when you walked in. That's me. Bye.
That was $500. At this point, I can't even be mad. I mean, it really feels like some end of empire stuff. It feels like everything's crumbling around us. I have to respect the hustle in some way. But if you want to, you can go right now and get a George Santos $500 Cameo available right now. Back to fails. Cameo is a tech company that's thriving. A company that is not thriving is Google, who has been pressured by the rise of AI chatbots, which people say are slowly starting to replace search. And so Google has been under extreme pressure to introduce their own chatbot. Again, most of Google's profits come from search. If search is ever disrupted, it's going to destroy the company. And so they revealed this incredible trailer.
I see a squiggly line. It looks like a bird to me.
What if I add this?
It is a duck.
Yes.
It is more common for ducks to be brown, black, or white.
Are you sure?
What the quack? I was just talking about a blue duck.
And he does this.
You are trying to get me to find the paper ball under the cup. The cup to the left.
Pretty
Nice.
incredible, right? I mean, it's a pretty incredible, multimodal use. And when I saw this trailer, I was pretty mind blown. I was like, damn, Google's got some shit. Well, it turns out that this trailer was faked. Nothing of that happened in real time. It was all prompted via text. So a lot of things that sound super simple in the example, they were adding additional text description to help guide the AI to say what they wanted to say. So it was all pretty much not real. And Google yet again has only released a demo and a press release and not any actual product. There's no doubt the technology is still impressive. They have something there, but they still haven't solved their main problem, which is their inability to ship. So we'll see. Now I want to head over to Texas and give a win to a business I didn't know existed called Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is apparently a large convenience store slash gas station operating mostly all around Texas. That is the largest selection, and they're just really clean. Truckers like them because they have clean bathrooms and a lot of good options over food. They're good, right? And they go through a ton of traffic. And so this was posted by Buc-ee's, and it showed some of the salaries they're offering. $18 an hour for a cashier, $20 for restroom crew, etc. And they're full-time. Then you get down here and you start to see assistant general manager, $100K. Car wash manager, $125K, which is pretty good for managing a Buc-ee's. And so someone looked at it and noticed in a fail to Europe at $125,000, the car wash manager at a gas station in rural Texas makes more than most doctors in Europe. With lower taxes. Now, you still have to live in Texas. You still have to live in America, you still have to live in Texas. That was pretty incredible to me, which led to this. Buc-ee's themselves jumping on social media and saying another L for Europe. Which is like the best marketing thing they can do because they're only marketing to Texans. So this is a perfect marketing win for them. But we're not talking about Texas, America, or Europe this week, okay? In the geopolitical segment of this show, we have an entirely new country to give you news on with a segment I'm gonna call You're Not Gonna Believe It. Because we're going to Ghana as they have an incredibly interesting win for the New Force Party, which are running for the upcoming elections in Ghana with a masked candidate. They have put up billboards all over the country, hashtag the New Force. By the way, they haven't even revealed their policies. This is their press release. No policies have been unveiled and no specific person has been unveiled. So you don't know who it is and you don't know what they stand for, and yet they're an incredibly popular party right now among young people in Ghana because people are so unhappy with the current parties that this faceless mystery box of a candidate is gaining traction. It's a total fuck it gotcha mechanic of a presidency. That being said, Semaphore, which did the reporting for this, did some digging, and it seems to be the likely person who is behind this mask and who has the funds to run this campaign is this guy. But he goes by the nickname Cheddar. He is a Ghana citizen who was sent to the UK for school when he was young and has a history of wearing cool masks. It seems like Cheddar might be our guy. Now, he's iced out, obviously looking pretty fresh. He made his money at 21 years old when he was living in England by selling fake Versace. Came back, invested in real estate in Ghana, and has become like a multimillionaire developer in Ghana, is likely to be the man behind this mask. But the problem is, no matter who wins in Ghana, they're not gonna make it. Much like Argentina, which had similar elections recently, is in an incredible debt cycle. The government of Ghana is essentially bankrupt and is now going for its 17th bailout from the IMF. The citizens of Ghana are experiencing right now something like 40% inflation. So again, no matter who wins, they have to solve this problem. It's the same problem that happened with Argentina, where like there was an outsider candidate who said they're gonna fix everything. It's really hard to fix a government that has no money and no real way to get any and is still in debt. But what's really at stake here is that a lot of Ghana relies on outside foreign investment. And Ghana's finance minister says getting their credit downgraded basically means shut down on the government. So let me explain. This is Moody's, one of the biggest financial rating agencies, and this is all of the tiers they give different government debts. Basically, AAA is prime, CAA3 is basically the bottom, the worst you can be. And this is a measurement of how likely a country is to pay back the debt. Now, at the top, you're gonna find countries like Canada, Norway. America is barely AAA. Once you get below A1, you're starting to get into really higher risk territory that a lot of financial institutions, pension funds, and like that won't invest in. So Ghana is here. And basically nobody in the world other than the IMF will loan them money because their government has basically proven they won't pay it back. We'll figure out what happens with that after the election. What we're actually looking at now is this. Our friend China in a segment we call Wazzup Beijing.
Wazzup Beijing.
What is up, Beijing? And so we are here. And why does China's A1 rating matter? Well, it matters because as they're in the middle of a rising debt crisis, Moody's has announced that they are cutting the view of the country's finances to negative, basically meaning, hey, you're still A1, but you're about to get downgraded. That's a pretty big deal. Every rating point you get downgraded is a big decrease in the amount of foreign direct investment and people willing to buy your country's debt. So Moody's basically said that growth is looking shaky in China. Property values are declining. I mean, China's government is going to need to bail out their local governments, which is going to cause them to print a bunch of money. And they're worried. They're worried about being able to pay back. So they're negative outlook. But what was funny is because China doesn't take things like this lightly, the second Moody's knew they were going to downgrade it, they said, hey, don't come to school tomorrow. They basically told all of their staff to work from home before they announced it because they didn't want China to raid their offices in China. But it turns out, again, as we've mentioned in the past couple weeks of Wazzup Beijing, China has been taking a softer tone lately. And so they said they were disappointed with the decision. And they said, a misjudgment by Moody's won't cause harm to our economy, but it may cause you to lose credibility, which is kind of a low-key, subtle shade throwing diss. But not, again, they didn't raid the offices or anything. So, but that being said, there's truth to what Moody's is saying. China has been separately vowing proactive fiscal policy to get their economy back on track. If I know anything from America, it means printing money, trying to find a way to get that bubble reinflated. And they are there now. They are in a real estate declining debt bubble, kind of like 2007 in America. And so we'll see how they handle this, but there's a real chance that this is going to cause some problems. Separately, last week we talked about how China's been offering visa-free entry to a lot of European and Asian countries. Stefik, our Marketing Monday researcher, found a report that's saying Chinese tourism is down to 6% of what it was in 2019. There is so drastically fewer tourists in China than there ever was. So they're desperately trying to get people to come back and see the country. So they offered this, and Italy said, LOL, no. Not only did Italy deny the visa-free entry, but they quit the Belt and Road, which was a plan that is China's like connecting all of these. And it was their new leader Meloni's campaign pledge when she ran for office. So she had to follow through with it. Chinese citizens said, basically this means let's still do what we're doing, but not spell it out. Probably just trying to avoid pressure from the US, which makes sense. But again, China did not drastically retaliate. They didn't address it directly. They just said, it would be a shame if somebody undermined the Belt and Road. So all this news out of China lately has been, in my view, pretty negative. The economic problems we talked about in a video a few months back have only accelerated. But there is one piece of good news, and it involves the woman from this song.
I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
George Santos isn't the only Swiftie in the world. It turns out there's a lot of Swifties in China. And as we know from previous Marketing Mondays, the Federal Reserve themselves said that Taylor Swift has boosted the economy in all the places her Eras tour has gone to. Well, finally, it's happening in China. Taylor Swift, the Eras tour, is on its way to Chinese movie theaters, and China is the largest movie-going population in the world. And it's largely fueled lately by women. Women are fueling the box office in China. And so there's a real chance this is a massive success. But what's unique about this is it ties into our previous thing. Generally, a movie like this, especially from someone like Taylor Swift, who is very pro-feminism, pro-LGBTQ, things that the Chinese Communist Party don't generally support, they're allowing it because this is the first test of a movie under a new branch distribution system where not every single film in China has to be screened and distributed by the state. They're gonna let the private sector handle deciding what movies to release. Again, this is a pretty big deal, pretty big opening in China. They have never done this before in allowing a movie to be done through the private sector without being screened and reviewed. If this goes well and goes smoothly and makes a bunch of money and everyone's happy, it could lead to more foreign content being allowed to be distributed in China. Because right now, only like a dozen or 24 Hollywood films get released in China every year, and the rest get canceled because of screening. So it's pretty crazy. And we'll follow up on it in other Marketing Mondays. That is the end of our show. Thank you for watching. Tune in every week for another Wins and Fails.
Check it.